Middlesex District Attorney Marian has confirmed the identity of the man shot by Newton police as 28-year-old Michael Conlon. On January 5, 2021, at approximately 1:43 p.m., Newton police received a 911 call from the owner of Indulge, a candy store, reporting a man with a knife. Two Newton police officers, one in plain clothes and one uniformed, arrived first on scene and located the 28-year-old male who lived on the second floor of the building, holding a knife in the second-floor hallway of the building. Upon arrival, police called for additional police officers and a negotiator. A clinician with mental health expertise arrived on scene before the shooting but did not enter the building due to safety concerns since the man was armed with a knife. Additional Newton police officers arrived on scene as well as two Massachusetts State Police troopers. Mr. Conlon allegedly fled to the third floor, followed by the police. There are two apartments on the third floor. A woman who resides on that floor of the building fled her apartment, allowing officers to enter her home, creating distance from Mr. Conlon, who was in the hallway. Officers on scene spoke with Mr. Conlon, responding to his requests, offering to contact his family, and requesting that he drop the knife. Mr. Conlon became confrontational with police, arming himself with a metal fire extinguisher in addition to the knife. The preliminary investigation suggests that after Mr. Conlon refused to comply with verbal commands to drop the knife, Newton police attempted to deploy less than lethal force. A Massachusetts State Police trooper also deployed a taser that failed to subdue him. Mr. Conlon allegedly advanced on the officers while still holding the knife in a threatening manner. Two Newton police officers fired their service weapons, striking the man. Based on radio transmissions from Newton police, the shots were fired at approximately 2:11 p.m. The man was transported to Newton Wellesley Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. Newton police officers involved in the altercation have been placed on temporary paid administrative leave. This remains an active and ongoing investigation. The cause and manner of death are pending a ruling by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. On Wednesday, January 6th, the defund NPD group gathered outside of Newton Police Headquarters to share their outrage at the killing of Michael Conlon.
But what about when they happen here, in our city, our community, our neighborhood? Can you ignore the cries for justice when they come from your neighbors, your friends, your family? There's always pain, suffering, injustice, everywhere, even when it's not staring you in the face. Lurking beneath the suburban surface, it exists no matter its proximity to you or how obvious it seems. Those that hide behind indifference because it's not here, in their city, their streets, their backyard, dismissing the work, calling mountains molehills. Go back to high school, crazy liberals. Back to blue. I'm tired of being told it doesn't happen here. It's always been here. Now it's just clear. There's nowhere to hide. So what are you going to do? I am a lifelong resident of Newton, and for nearly all that time, I have struggled with mental illness. What happened yesterday, a man killed by our city's police officers, was a horrible tragedy. I do not know the victim, and I cannot compare my experiences with mental health to his. But as a resident of Newton with mental illnesses, hearing the mayor tell my city that they can be assured they're safe now after a man was killed while in the middle of an apparent mental health crisis does not make me feel at ease in the only place I have ever called home. When I heard the victim had a history of mental health issues and what actions the police took, I could only imagine myself in his place. When I have a panic attack, I want to isolate myself, so I empathize with the man when he ran into his apartment, just how I would run into my room if I was in the middle of a mental health crisis. When I panic, I have trouble breathing, trouble speaking clearly, and I don't have full control over my emotions or actions as much as I want to calm down and stop panicking. The police first shoot a beanbag gun at the man, then tased him, and when that failed to de-escalate the situation, drew their weapons and shot multiple times. The only way those methods could be considered de-escalation is if they were trying to knock the man unconscious or worse, take his life on purpose. How can we expect someone already in the middle of a crisis to stay calm and comply with police who are hurting him? Nothing the police did would break someone out of a mental health crisis. Again, I do not know this man's diagnoses, and I do not know how they manifested. So I don't mean to compare his actions to my symptoms. But I am not reassured, no matter Ruth Ann Fuller's words, that I am safe now that he has been killed. None of us know the full story of the case, and we may never know. But the fact of the matter is, Newton police killed the man, and that is unacceptable. The fact that he may have been in a crisis only increases my rage. So I stand here asking you to fight so this does not happen again. Not here and not anywhere, because no one can deny it any longer. This happens here.
While they were speaking, counter-protesters stood behind a police line with signs supporting the Newton police, signing, waving the American flag, and making as much noise as possible to disrupt the defund NPD group. There were a few altercations between the two groups, with one person arrested. Organizer for the Support Newton Police Group, Fran Urardi, explained why the group was there.
Like everybody, we saw this tragedy that happened yesterday, and it was a tragedy. A man lost his life. Newton police were put in a situation that's unwinnable. It was just a bad situation. And as a community, we should have been coming together, and our community leaders should have brought us together. But instead, our political leaders, within an hour of this happening, put up a rally to condemn the violence of the Newton police without having any of the answers. You know, and I sat there and I said, listen, this guy, his mental health network failed him. He went out into the public with a knife. The public was afraid, and they called the police. And the police had to walk into a difficult situation. So we, as a community, should have been looking at that, but instead they come out and said the Newton police were violent. And I said, they're not violent. They're walking into a messy situation that none of us wants to walk into. And I'm sure they're going to think about what happened and look at it and see how they can improve and see if they did everything right. You know, and I hope they did. But at the end of the day, right now is not the time for this, because you don't know what happened. So give them the respect that they deserve. Treat them as professionals, know that they're trained, know that this person had a mental health issue and his safety net failed him. And I saw people coming out here today to right away, Newton police is violent, defund the police. But no mention about his mental health situation in the beginning. How did he get to that point where he pulled the knife on the public? So I'm not a political organizer. I live down the street. I said, this is wrong. So people started talking on social media that this is wrong, and the next, everybody showed up and said, you know what? We need to stand for our police, because our political leaders are not standing for our police.